Yo, today we are talking about SnD strats on Tuscan. So this is gonna be the first episode of the multi-episode series of SnD strats on every single map, going through offensive strats, defensive strats, some bomb plant sites, and things that you gotta know and be aware of when playing SnD on these maps. So it's gonna be a good one. I am hyped to talk about Tuscans. Without further ado, let's get right into this one. Let's go. Alrighty, so let's start off on offense here and talk through some of these situations. So we are here inside TAC Maps again. CoD directly, you can download it in the Microsoft Store. No free shoutouts, but again, great program, highly recommend. And off the rip here, let's just go through some of the A strats and some of the things you can play on this map. Obviously on Tuscan, the mid control is crucial to success. We've already seen that in the Pro SnD tournaments and how they utilize some of the broken areas in the map. And again, obviously SnD's in a weird spot right now because of the bomb. You can hear the bomb being diffused and planted. So they're gonna be fixing some of these things as time moves on here, and we'll see what happens with some of the broken materials in these games, because it can get a little bit crazy, and obviously the doors as well can get a little bit crazy. But Tuscan personally is my favorite SnD map, and why, and the one I played the most so far, so I thought we could start on this one. So mid control is really interesting, and obviously utilizing the top fire area right here on offense is crucial, because you got the line sights to the bomb. You can watch bottom church, you can watch top broken, and you can also watch the flank from top fire and kind of watch that flank there. So there's a lot of different ways you can utilize top fire, and having a player who's really aware, has a gunny up top fire, can be crucial in executing a lot of these strats. Let's start with a more balanced offensive push here that can actually work well if you're just trying to play slow, play for a pick, and try to find that first blood. And what that looks like is sending one, like an AR top fire, and kind of playing up here. Again, a guy that you trust to win that gunfight. Then you send an SMG into mid. The timings here are pretty straightforward. You can get on offense, you can run into back behind truck before the people on defense can get through the doors on bottom church. The key here is that you send one on this route towards outer, wrapped around, and then he hops up on the door, right outside the door, right on the ledge right there. So he hops up, and this is the key to the setup here, is that you can get to this spot to watch this cross before defense can get around the truck and cross right here. So you can actually get the guy weak or even kill him before he even pushes your guy inside mid. And so now you have mid control and you can help win that gunfight. Not to mention you're watching the flank here, because if they open the door, you're gonna hear it and you can turn around and try to gunny him off the flank. I've gotten a ton of kills from people just opening this door and trying to run into deep spawn. I can say, yo, someone's here, and then the guy who's top fire can actually turn around and help watch that as well. So you can get into some pretty good spots by setting somebody up like that. I love this play overall, and we'll talk more about this position again in other setups as well here in a second. Long story short, this other guy, he can be a wild card, and we'll talk about some variations with how he can play this. One thing I don't mind is just having him set up and just watch this push right here for now. And then once you establish mid control, you can either have him shoulder peek this to try to have a chance to get inside you, or he can wrap into mid with you, and get the bomb down like that together. So I like having him just watch that pinch. You've got all lanes covered in this type of setup here. It's a really balanced, just overall pretty powerful setup to create map control and utilizing this mid push. So then this guy becomes a wild card where either he can like play the flank, or he can hit through mid and help one try to get the bomb down, or even if you want to get really crazy, start pushing up the map a little bit. But I think this setup is great for getting the bomb down. 3 can then watch over the A bomb planter as he plants bomb, and then 2 is here in case he needs to pinch inside you or support through mid. So overall, I think it's a really good setup. It creates for a lot of versatility in the round. So the next setup's actually pretty similar to that, but the difference is how you utilize number 3 here. And number 3 in this setup actually runs the same route as number 1 here. So he runs around and actually hops inside of well with number 1. So you play it like that, boom, both of you guys are now hitting through mid, and this becomes a triple mid hit. And I love this play because it creates the mid control. Then you can even try to get a little crazy again, play through mid and either plant the A-bomb like before, or because you have 3 guys in mid, you can try to make a play towards or inside church. You can make a play to try to jump up into top broken. There's a lot of different ways you can play this. Or if you really want to, rewrap this thing, you can try to hit B through the staircase. There's a lot of fun ways you can go with a mid push like this. And the mid control is crucial. What I think the key here is that number 4 really prioritizes watching the A-bomb pinch here, the U pinch, because that's really the biggest way that this setup could get screwed up here, is if these guys push through and then they peek through mid or peek on bomb, and then they get mid control through you. So that's a pretty important, I think, aspect. And then really the biggest thing you gotta be worried about here is a full flank if these guys try to hit through quickly. But that's pretty rare overall. I don't think a lot of teams do that very often, at least in 4s. So it's more likely that that could happen in like 3s or 2s. But overall, that's something to worry about if you don't see anybody after the first few seconds. And be wary that you just establish kind of that you control if you're trying to plant the A bomb. Because an ideal bomb plant here, again, is that you can plant this backside and you establish you control. The guy top fire has a huge part in that. So this setup is great. I absolutely love this one, and using the well control is really fun. It's been really effective for us. All right, so let's just stick with the kind of the mid control hybrid plays while we're at it. So this is the next variation of what this could look like, where you send these two players who, instead of going through mid, you send them into the B building. So what I really like about this stairs play is that you can get through this door before they can get through this door. So you actually can establish control. You set yourself in a pretty good position to win that gunfight if they push through. And now you have more mid control as well, and can kind of decide if you want to play out through mid here once you get that control, or if you want to try to hit a pinch here. The pinch hits are really interesting, because like if you get a pick inside mid, then suddenly you can get really interesting with these pinches. Like if you get a pick, let's say you kill a guy top broken on a gunfight here, or you kill a guy top church, then suddenly this number 2 player can try to hop up into top broken, and then these two players hit the flank, and now you have a full-on B hit going here. So there's some nice ways to play this overall, or you can wrap this through mid here, play towards A. I like the options that this type of play gives you, and again, you have the timing on this rush here, so you actually have a nice play here overall, and a nice advantageous gunfight to work off of as well. And then the actual variation of that is that instead of sending a guy mid here, is that you send number 2 with them on this far side. And what you do here is you have number 2 sit here and watch that mid push. Just watch right here. And then you have 1 and 3 playing this together, making sure you're watching this pinch. And then number 4 can basically just chill. Like he can watch this, the bomb heady. He can help number 2 inside mid if he gets a spot on a guy going towards truck or something like that. Or he can back up and kind of watch this pinch and watch the pinch here on the flank. And that can basically be the full-on play here. So then you're trying to work through B here and get a B plant down. This number 4 can either go on the late pinch, or you can rotate through together and then watch the mid building pinch. So there's just different ways to play it. This has worked really well for us as well. Once you establish that mid control, you get the call out that nobody's inside mid. This works especially well if number 4 gets a call out that they're kind of pushing up aggressively towards A bomb, or if they get a call out that multiple are inside mid. Then you can feel pretty confident to hit the flank and pretty quickly hit this B push, get bomb down, and try to play for the plant. All right, so now let's talk about some more aggressive A hits overall. Again, the guy top fire is still pretty crucial overall to the setup here, but he can play a little bit more passive. I think it's important to kind of throw the defense off a little bit with him playing aggressive top fire and passive top fire, and switching off exactly how that looks. Alrighty, so here's kind of the setup that I'm looking for a faster A hit here. And the biggest thing off the rip is to understand that stuns and nades are coming into play at A, basically no matter what. And stuns and nades are just so OP right now. Again, stuns do 20 damage. So let's say all 3 of these guys stun the same area. That gets 60 damage down on one of these guys over here. So teams are gonna get really good at effectively utilizing stuns and search and destroy. And we'll see if GAs end up coming out, or trophy systems, or whatever it is. But for now, that comes into play for sure. Long story short, on a setup like this, the timing basically works where offense can get positioned a little bit faster than defense. So if you're trying to like aggressively hit out towards A, so you can really hit this outer route here and take the rush all the way out towards tree, and then slide out up towards bricks, or some call it outer, some call it different things, but bricks are outer, and then position yourself to watch the mid hit real quick as number 4 gets into position. Once number 4 is already watching your cross, so once 4 can watch this little cross here, then number 1 can work with number 2 and 3 to try to eliminate these kills over here. And then while you're running out, you're trying to throw these stuns and nades out towards their side, out towards pillar, and just try to eliminate these players on square and all these areas right here. So you're trying to throw these stuns and nades and make that play. And then number 4's goal is to watch this mid cross to make sure that nobody can get here. So now that you've established A side control, you can work to get the bomb down. And so that's always been tough, is trying to establish how you're doing that exactly. This is also how you can utilize snipers pretty well. And snipers come into play here by, like, your number 4 could be using a sniper, number 3 or number 2 could be using a sniper. And all of these guys can try to utilize snipers in those interesting ways as well to quickly get out here. And this is without a smoke. So when you're using a smoke, so ideally you would smoke out this side, and then you're still nading and stunning these areas here, but you're smoking out their side here to clear out the cross, which fully gives you control inside to A, and then you're pushing in to really get you control. Ideally you get onto their side of you, so you use this smoke to push up actually and get control of their side you. Then you can plant the bomb pretty easily on the back side here, which makes it a little bit easier to check. And then number 4 again is just watching the cross to bomb as you get bombed down, and then he's watching the flank as well. So you just gotta be a little bit wary of the flank, and that can work out pretty dang well for strats like that. The only other variable is that you can actually like 4 hit this faster, so that 4 can even be here with you. So let's say you don't smoke and you want to 4 hit the A side. So number 4 could be your main AR guy watching these long lines of sight as you're pushing out and pushing up. So number 2 can hop out here to help with the gunfights here. Number 1 is trying to sneak around and get into U control. And again, you gotta be wary of when you're checking inside U, because the guy top fire could potentially gun you here. So you gotta be a little bit scared of that. But overall, this could work pretty well. Then once you establish that U control again, and you're kind of setting up here, again, this Godheady is just so good. Definitely utilize it overall. But then number 4 is kind of the wild card here, where either he needs to like lay down behind tree and watch this pinch, or he rotates all the way through the back. Then he's kind of got the whole pinch watched, and he can let anyone know if they're trying to hit the flank here and pinch onto you. So all of these plays are pretty interesting. He can also try to wrap back and get into top fire as well again. And then he's watching bomb as it goes down. There's a lot of different ways to play that, but again, really good setups there. And I think all of these things can work really well. So real quick, obviously, if you're planning B, I just wanted to talk about this real quick. The ideal plant for B is on the back side of B right here, because then you can watch it from spawn, and it creates so many more lines of sight that a defense team has to check when you get the bomb down. So really prioritize trying to plant that back B side if you think you can. If not, then you have to plant the near side, and then it's a little bit tougher to check for you. Hopefully you have some stuns or nades to use to check, because then you can play towards plat, or you can stack inside top green and radio back behind here and kind of watch church and watch the push here. So that can get a little bit tough, but ideally you're playing that backside because it creates for so many more areas of the map that the defending team has to check. Alrighty, so defensively, this is the first kind of strat right here. I like defense on this map because you can be pretty conservative overall with how you play, and patience is key here. So the nades and stuns are really important to get some information, and the ladder play right here is really solid. So when you're coming up the ladder, you can kind of throw a stun or a nade into mid, try to get some of that information there, and that can work pretty well to slow their push and just get them a little bit rattled. So then you've got one guy in church watching that bottom mid push. You're worried about that bottom mid push. You've got one guy watching the flank, no problem here. And his goal is just to play his life. Call out is what matters the most, is know that this guy might have to wrap back and make a play or something along those lines. This number 1 player can also get in on the action as well, because if he hits this pretty quickly from spawn, he can actually throw stuns into mid here or nades. And that actually has worked really well for us to help stun their pushes. If you get your stun to land back behind their Jeep, you can get that stunned out and actually help create some chaos there. You can also have this player stun the A rush and just throw that early to get a call out, like if a guy's trying to go U or trying to hit to that side of the map. So he can kind of get a little bit creative with how he wants to throw these stuns and nades to get in on the action, but then he can actually back up and just watch this flank. And ideally, like, this spot's probably the little best spot behind these little flower pots right here. Otherwise, you could probably sit in one of these corners and just watch this pinch here, because then you got the door watched, and that works as well. So one of those 2 options works great for the player who's watching that pinch. And overall, it's a very basic setup off the rip, but the patience here is really important, and then playing together and prioritizing retakes is also really nice. This can set up for a lot of first bloods here overall. If this guy just watches that cross into you, I mean, you're in a pretty good spot to get a pick, and you have a lot of advantageous positions for sure. Alrighty, so the next strat is pretty straightforward, but it's another fast A defense here. And again, the most important thing is getting these nades and stun placements right. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to nade back behind tree, and you're trying to stun up towards the bricks or the mid or the outer push here. So those are kind of the most important 2 like stuns and nades you're trying to hit here. And then one player could try to stun inside mid here, like I said before, from the push up here if you want to get that information there. And then one player's here watching the flank, just watching that mid push here. Nothing too crazy. I do like doing this with a sniper. So like ideally, number one, can kind of like slow peek this with a sniper or something, kind of slow peek tree or outer bricks. And then number two and number one are sliding out onto pillar as you're getting control here. And then this is also around where you might want to consider running fortified so that you don't get pre-naded and instead of like a dead silence, because you're gonna be playing out in the open anyway. And you can kind of run out here. So you can have like an SMG and AR kind of slide out onto pillar here and play this together. And then what you got to start getting worried about is kind of the mid push here. So also what I sometimes like to do is send a guy into top ladder and watch this U push here. So then he can watch the cross into U here. Then this player on pillars or whoever's pushing up here doesn't have to worry about someone pushing up on the bomb just yet. So I do like that variation as well. It just kind of depends what you're willing to risk with them pushing through mid here. You can also slow peek this corner here with the sniper as well. So the sniper could slow peek that and then look for the kill outer tree and then try and eliminate that space out towards their side. So that can work pretty dang well as well. And the whole goal here is to try to get in U control. So you sit on this heady. So like ideally you're sitting on this heady, either you send somebody to watch you like this could be your setup, or you have someone laying down here, then you have one guy sitting on the god heady, and then you could even have one stacked inside you, or this guy could wrap back and play with number three here now inside mid. So there's some really interesting different setups you can create to create some pretty insane map control on this map if you use nade stuns correctly. You can also variation play this with a smoke. So you smoke out their side here, and then you're also throwing out the nades and stuns still, and then you're using that to establish your map control there by pushing up into you, and then this player can get a little bit more aggressive, hit like top church, and now you've got like a really solid like mid control here with your full on setup, which is really, really nice. So again, like some sort of base setup like this can also just really work where you just send two top church, one goes ladder, one goes actually top church, and then this player has to just be worried about them pushing into bottom mid here. But overall, your objective is to try to utilize the stuns and nades to find these picks with your ARs. And then this player's playing slow, watching the pinch here, potentially getting a free pick himself. And then this player is kind of the rogue player where if they find some picks inside mid, or if they get call outs that a lot of players are over here towards A or mid, then this player can go rogue and try to hit the flank. And this pinch through window onto mid can be deadly. So being wary about that, obviously, like we said on offense, a lot of teams like to watch the pinch here and try to watch that overall play there. But if this player is a confident SMG, he can make some insane plays, and I absolutely love that strat as well, and I like playing that role myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It ended up being a little bit longer than I was originally intending it to be, but hopefully it was a fun time hanging out, talking about strats on Tuscan. If you guys enjoyed it, drop those comments down below. Those likes always help me a lot. And a gaming channel series is starting this week, so be on the lookout for the gaming channel. Link down in the description. But as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.